Hey everyone, this is Tyler. I wanted to give you a bit of an update before this episode of the podcast started. Basically, I am uploading some of the episodes that Gabe and I had recorded, but I never got around to uploading. So the podcast started to fizzle out around the middle of 2023 with just things in life happening and us getting really busy. But these last few episodes were recorded in the spring of that year. I would still love to create content in the future on this channel and podcast platform, and I am hopeful that myself and hopefully Gabe as well will return in some capacity in the future. So with all that said, I hope you enjoy these last few episodes that we recorded as they conclude our discussions on the first arc of Vinland Saga. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Pages of Light podcast, your destination for discussions of popular fantasy and science fiction novels from a Christian worldview. My name is Tyler, aka Verum, and with me, as always, is Gabriel, aka the Quarantine Quartermaster. Welcome back to the podcast, Gabe. How are you on this fine evening? It's a little rainy and windy outside.
Yeah, but when this episode debuts, it might be a nice sunny day.
That's true. This will be going up quite a bit after this actual recording day.
Yes, today was a good day. And this will just share how long it's been since we recorded this, but we are preparing for the arrival of my son. So we had to get our game together. But yeah, I'm on spring break right now, and I actually got to read the second half of Vinland Saga, Book 4, today in the hammock. Everyone was out of the house, and I just went out and spent over an hour reading. Maybe it was like 2 or something, but it was so nice to just sit out in the hammock and read this book. And yeah, it was a really nice day. So I'm glad we get to have a discussion about it tonight. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm definitely looking forward to the end. This is like the kind of the end to this whole first arc of the story, which because chapter 54 is just called End of the Prologue. So all the way up to chapter 54 is just the prologue of the whole of the story of Vinland Saga. So it's quite the long prologue, I will say. But it's been
it's really fun. It's done really well.
Yes, it is. But we will get into that discussion in just 1 second. As always, make sure you go over to pagesoflight.com, check out what's going on over there, and you can also follow us on social media. You can go over to the YouTube channel as well and subscribe. Trying to get to 100 subscribers over there, so if you want to just go over there and hit the subscribe button, that would be really helpful. And you can also check us out on other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Goodreads if you want to see what I'm reading and all those good things. As Gabe mentioned, we are going to be doing the end of Book 4 of Vinland Saga. Book 4 as in the English hardcover version here. And this is going to be chapters 50 to 56, which is the end of an arc and the setup for a new part of the story, which we will get into in just a second. I guess before we jump into the regular discussion of the different chapters and stuff, do you have any just like overall opinions of this whole kind of arc, chapters 1 through 54?
1 through 54.
Yeah, do you remember what happened in chapter 1?
I remember the storming of
of the little fort, yeah.
The little fort. So, but after that, it gets fuzzy.
Yeah, it's a lot of chapters.
Yeah, it is a lot of chapters. I've really enjoyed it. The artwork is really well done, and I like how it's very consistent, but then it's very drawn, very stylized in certain scenes, and I really like the way that it changes how you view the character, and we've seen some good story arc already for Prince Canute, Askeladd, Thorfinn, a little bit for Thorkel,
Yeah.
Ragnar, Thor's. Yeah, we have lots of characters, and King Sven even has like come into play. Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. It's a fun read. It's fast. It's very well done. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I think the thing I just love about this is just the characters are great. Just finding more about their backstories and their histories and their motivations for how they make decisions, and it's always I'm always looking forward to the next page. Just be like, what's going to happen? Because sometimes you don't necessarily know how a scene is going to play out, and it's cool to see, how the characters get out of certain situations, or the decisions they make, and how those decisions have repercussions for later on in the story. And just thinking of like how this kind of arc is ending, and how things that were said in the first very beginnings of the story are still having ripple effects at the end, which is really cool. So yeah, but let's jump into the meat of the podcast. And as always, we're going to start off with our favorite quote. Do you want to kick us off this time?
Sure. Thief of quotes. Literally, the past 3 times we've recorded, Tyler has taken my quote.
To be fair, in my defense, I think our quote. I'll say our quote since we both liked it. I think our quote that we liked was one of the most impactful scenes of the whole section of the book. So,
correct.
You would be a fool to not consider this as one of your favorite quote options for sure. But Gabe's gonna have a secondary quote for us here, since we both liked the other one.
And it's not so much a quote, but it's just kind of a glimpse into Askeladd's mind. So this is on page 250, and this is where he is considering many things as he is, in the room with Sven and Canute. Think, there's no time. What can I do by spring? Oh, yeah. So this is after King Sven has said that they are going to attack Wales, and Wales is where Askeladd is from, and he has loyalty to, and he's of royal descent there. So he's thinking, how can I get this to stop? Because he knows that this is a greater force, and he doesn't want to see his countrymen get hurt. And so more of things that he's thinking about. Do I have the prince raise his flag in rebellion? No, not yet. The difference in strength is too great. In any case, Wales will end up a battleground. We still need time to sway the chieftains to our cause. Is it possible to get the English back to their feet? I can't plan on battle. The king's assassin might make another attempt on the prince in all the chaos. Dang it all, the only strength I can count on is Thorkel's 500. So, I really like this frame. So that's just one page, and they've given us a really detailed drawing of Askeladd's human brain with the cerebellum in the back and the cerebral cortex, and the this kind of looks like nerves going down the brain stem.
Here's a reference if anyone can't see.
Yep, thanks for showing that, Tyler. So everyone is equipped with a human brain, but Askeladd has a very powerful brain that kind of he is seeing the full picture. He is like asking himself, like, what is he going to do? He is searching for options. He has a mind that takes in the full situation and starts generating options, generating possibilities, and then he starts acting out those things. So I just found this to be a really good frame in the book, and kind of a glimpse into Askeladd's mind. So yeah, that's why I enjoyed it. And can I make a biblical tie? I think while Askeladd may not be a Christian because of his behavior, but I think he has a degree of wisdom about him that he is able to kind of see people for who they are and just very quickly interpret a situation and many different facets to consider. So Book of Proverbs kind of trains you how to be wise, and I think Askeladd is wise, even though he doesn't make Christian decisions. So that's my quote.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think he has a certain worldly wisdom, not necessarily. Although he may adhere to some kind of biblical ideals in a sense, but they're not like intentional. Like he's not seeking out those things. It's just because maybe he has some just experiences in the world. Some of those things just might align with, a Christian perspective. But as we mentioned in was at the end of book 3 of the hardcover where they had that massacre of that town. Askeladd's moral compass is not going the correct direction. So
yeah,
yeah, that's a good quote. I also like that scene, just like watching him kind of figure out all this plotting and planning. And I mean, a lot of the first half of this section of the book is just them trying to scheme and plan and figure out what the best course of action is going to be, and trying to think about if we do this, then how is King Swen going to respond, and if he responds in this way, then what's our response, and all this kind of stuff. And they're trying to like play out all of the different cause and effect things that could happen, and so that they have responses to all those different things. And I think Askeladd seems, I don't remember where it is in the book, but that seems like he sees himself as superior to all of the Danes, and so he thinks they're kind of dim-witted, and because he's the rightful king of Britannia as he claims, and so just that fact alone, he obviously has some kind of a superiority complex where he just feels like he is smarter than everybody, he is a better warrior than everybody. And so in a way that's really good for his character, because that makes him really confident, and it makes him really dangerous, and he can take risks, or he's confident enough to take risks that most of the time do pay off, because he is pretty skilled with the sword, but as we'll see, it doesn't save him in the end. So,
and he's very skilled with his brain too.
He is, yes. But yeah, good quote.
All right, why don't you tell everyone our quote?
Yes, the real quote that we both wanted to talk about here, which again is Askeladd. It's basically just his last words, and before his death. Spoilers if you didn't read it. Askeladd dies, and these are his last words that he speaks to Thorfinn, and he says, "Haven't you given a thought to what you're going to live for after I'm dead, Thorfinn? Haha, you haven't, have you? You're hopeless, Move on, Thorfinn. Don't hang on to this petty BS your entire life. You've got to move on, go further. You're the son of Thor's, so venture beyond the world he saw. That is your true battle. Be a true warrior, son of Thor's." That's on page 327 to 330. And yeah, I just like this quote because it's, the last words of this essential character that we've been with since the very first chapter of the story. And I just like this quote because it brings in some things that were mentioned at the very beginning of the story, and it kind of brings them all full circle for Thorfinn in particular, because that's who he's talking to. And I wanted to pay attention to some of the things that he said. And this first thing, actually, he didn't say this. This was like just a few pages earlier before this quote, but he said at some point, "We're enemies, are we not?" And that was just, like a page before that this quote started. And that's a comparison to what Thor's said to Thorfinn, his father. So Thor's told him that you have no enemies, but Askeladd is saying, we're enemies, are we not? And then we also have the quote that he says, be a true warrior, son of Thor's. And then this is a callback also to what Thor's said on the boat before his death, which he said, a true warrior needs no sword. And I think just like all of these things that Askeladd is saying is bringing up these memories in Thorfinn's head of things that his own father had spoken to him. And there actually was a splash page on this. I think this was at the very, maybe it was it's when he was getting it's when he was getting taken away. Memories. Yeah, I just want to bring this up because this was like a really cool part of the book.
Yeah, I like took some time with this page and I was like looking at all these different scenes of like his memories.
Yeah. So I just showed that up there if you wanted to see it, but yeah, basically like Thorfinn is being drug away and like this experience has just happened to him and he's getting like this kind of like flashback, like all of these different memories and images are flashing into his mind about, you know, his father, you know, people that he's met along the way. We see Halfdan in here. We see his mom. We see his sister. We see his father, obviously Thor's. We see the woman that he betrayed after they took him in and nursed him back to health. You know, and we see Askeladd in here, of course, and we see Leif Erikson in the corner there, and we see all these different characters that he has kind of interacted with up until this point in the story, and it just seems like this event in his life is kind of like a I don't know what you would call it, like a fork in the road, or you know, like an important point in his life where, you know, the thing that he was searching for and that was motivating him and that was keeping him driven and like his only goal in life was to get this revenge on to Askeladd, and like now that thing is like, it can't be like that. It's over. You know, there's no more revenge to get because he's gone. And so I think this is like kind of I would use the word midlife crisis, but he's like 16, so it's not really a midlife crisis, but it's like a crisis in his life where the thing that he put his identity in is now shattered. And so now he has nothing left in him to put his identity in. And so he's going to have to like essentially like rebuild his life and recenter his motivations on, in terms of like what he wants to live for. And I mean, this is the question that Askeladd is asking him. Have you given a thought to what you're going to live for after I'm dead? And I mean, he says, you haven't. Have you? And I don't know what Thorfinn's plan was, what he was going to do after Askeladd died. I think he was just so driven by that he was very blinded. And I mean, he is a kid, you know, so he doesn't have like the long time horizon of, you know, what will I do in like 10 years? Like he wasn't thinking about that, you know. He was just like, I'm gonna kill Askeladd and I'm gonna do anything right now that will get me closer to killing Askeladd. And so yeah, it's that was the high point of this end of the story here. Did you have any thoughts? I have some scripture, but do you have any thoughts just before I jump into that scripture?
Absolutely. I really like how Askeladd is calling Thorfinn out on you have no clue what you're gonna do. You have zero idea what you're gonna do from this point forward, because I am dead and your whole life's mission has been to kill me and you didn't even get to do it. Yep. And it just kind of, you know, shows how myopic view, like Thorfinn's view is. Like, he's just so focused on this revenge, which is also, you know, a sin to just not forgive and to go after this person. Like, it would take a true Christian to have their father killed by a person and then to go and forgive that person for what they did.
Yep.
When it's very obvious that it was contrived and not like it was a planned event.
Right.
You know, it would, you would have to have the grace of God to forgive someone for taking your own father away from you. So,
yeah.
So yeah, that's just kind of like, you know, what I think the author is trying to convey at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, let's hear your scripture here.
Yeah, so this is Romans 12 verses 9 through 21. So this says, "Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay,' says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink, for by doing so you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." So this is a great passage, even if it wasn't tied to this part of the story. But I think this passage just kind of like embodies the idea that Thorfinn is bought into like the opposite of all of these things in the scripture. Like he doesn't have genuine love. He is not repaying evil for good. He is focused on vengeance. He that says rejoice in hope and be patient in tribulation. He is not patient. It doesn't seem like he really has hope. He just has the hope of killing Askeladd, but that's not really a true form of hope. That's just seeking revenge. Love one another with brotherly affection. I mean, no, he's not doing that. Not that he doesn't partake in some of all of the evils that the Danes participate in, but he doesn't have like a companion, or he doesn't have anybody that he's really loving, you know. He just kind of he's like a loner. He's kind of just by himself, and I think because of that, like he has nobody else who is like pouring into him, who can, you know, speak that wisdom into his life. And I think the times that people have tried to do that, he just like throws it back in their face. And so he's basically doing the opposite of all of these things that the Bible would call us to do as Christians. And I mean, Thorfinn isn't a Christian, so I'm not like expecting him to, you know, be doing all of these things. But it just shows you kind of like how he's in like a backwards frame of mind to a biblical worldview. So yeah, and then it's like, repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to what is honorable in the sight of all. Like Thorfinn is not, I mean, he's seeking honor in the sense that he wants to have like an honorable duel with Askeladd and kill him, but you know, from a biblical perspective, seeking revenge is not an honorable trait.
And when you're searching for God, like you find like fullness in being his, like, made in God's image and being his son, and to pursue God. And Thorfinn does not feel that.
Yes.
Excuse me. Thorfinn is just so full of like vengeance, like you were saying, and like not full hatred. Of love. Hatred when the object goes away, which is Askeladd. Like he is there's nothing there to fill his cup, to like it's all been devoted to this vengeance quest, and he had that taken away, and now he's just like, to reference Hollow Knight, he's an empty vessel. He's just kind of living life, but there's nothing in him that's filling him. And us Christians, we have the Word of God, and we know that we're doing God's work, and we live to serve God and to do the things that He wants us to do. And we can, that's a way that you can rise above, feeling like, oh, I need to please these people, or like I need to do these things, and like these kind of worldly pressures that you're under. Like if you take your satisfaction from working with God and next to God and doing God's work, and you get your satisfaction from that, you won't need people to fill you up because you are working towards God. And Thorfinn does not have this, and he just, after Askeladd is gone, he just completely lost. So great quote, great scripture. This is definitely a very, very poignant moment in the book and in the series so far.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy as well. Like this, it's like this chapter where this quote happens is called the end of the prologue. And so just, like this whole first part of the story was just the beginning, was just the start of this story called Vinland Saga. And yeah, I mean, I think Thorfinn is the main character, obviously. And so just like this was the setup for his character for the story that, what's the author's name again? Makoto Yukimura. Sorry if that's butchered incorrectly. But like this is the setup for the story that he wants to tell with Thorfinn. And yeah, it's gonna be a wild ride, I'm sure, for the next because I think there's like 13 hardcovers, I think, or 12, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
we're gonna be reviewing this for a while.
We got a ways to go. Yes. So that's our favorite quotes. And as always, if you have a favorite quote, please leave it in the comments. And we'd love to see what you thought about some different parts of the story, and what if you had any kind of biblical, tie, or what it made you think of from a biblical perspective. You can let us know. But let us jump in to some just general book discussion here. And I'm going to kick it off with the first chapter of the book, which is chapter 50. And so I think a lot of this first part of this section of the book is just building up to the very end of the story, because it's a lot of just talking and a lot of plotting and scheming and conniving. I mean, the chapter is called Plot, so it's just Askeladd and his crew is plotting, and then we have what's the guy's name? Ragnar's brother, Gunnar.
Yep.
Gunnar. Gunnar's plotting, and he's kind of spying for King Sven, it seems like, and so King Sven is plotting, Askeladd is plotting, Canute is plotting, Thorfinn is just doing he's like
counterintelligence. He's like stalking the spy.
He's the spy. So he's stalking, and he's enacting the plotting. He's getting information so that more plots can be devised. Askeladd is like
Askeladd is a mastermind. He's seeing through Gunnar, and
he's like Baron Harkonnen. He's got plans within plans. Because I like the scene where Gunnar leaves, and then he says we can't trust him, and then he was like, what was this thing that he said? He said something about, he said they'll know. Thorkel's like, they'll know everything we just said. He said, oh, that's not a problem. I didn't say anything I didn't want them to know. If Gunnar is indeed a traitor, he will tell the king's side of our secret before the night is over. And so, he knew that Gunnar was a spy, and so because of that, he was saying certain things so that Gunnar would hear them, so that Gunnar would go back to King Sven and tell them. And so now, after he is left, and they can have discussions about because he heard this, how are we gonna make different decisions to make it slightly different from what Gunnar heard. And so he's going through all these. I mean, as we saw with your kind of quote, seeing like his mind work, like he's very good at like just looking at a situation and being like, okay, so like this is true over here. So like if this character does this thing, then what will happen here? And then if that's true, then what are the side effects and what are the repercussions of this thing? And then if this other thing over here happens, then how am I going to react? And I think Prince Canute is going to act in this way. And he has all these. You can just see like the branches, almost like imagine it like a tree or like a genealogy of like, here's the main thing, and then you have branching potential. It's like if you play like an RPG game or something, like you have a quest box or whatever, and then a character says a thing, and then you can pick one of 4 answers, and then based on your answer, then you have this other branching part over here, and then when you get to the very end of the story, all of the decisions that you made throughout the game, feed into how the story is going to end. So that's kind of
I think Heavy Rain is
Heavy
a game
Rain, okay,
built like that, and
yes.
It has like a bunch of different endings. Like,
yes,
I want to say there's like 8 different endings or something.
Yes,
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I do remember when that came out.
Did you ever play it?
I did not, but I remember people talking about like all the different endings that you could have in the game. I remember that was like people were all talking about that game. I think because it was like. Was it something about like the graphics were really good at the time or something like that, or was it just because of the story branching?
The gameplay was just different. And it was a dark, like, kind of serial killer vibe going on, and it was good. Can I give you a spoiler? Are you gonna go back and play the game? Can I give
Heavy Rain? No, I'm not gonna go back and play that.
Okay. Yeah, there's a scene where you have to cut off your own finger, and and you have to like. It's very reminiscent of what's the name? Isaac Clarke Ishimura. I have the freaking statue behind me. Dead Space. Thank you.
Oh, Dead Space.
Where he has to like. Sorry for spoilers, guys, but he has to take a needle and go get code out of his own eyeball with that, and he has to guide the machine into it. So these like
that's fun.
Yeah, these they're just very tense scenes where you have to do something to yourself in the video game, but you like also feel it as the person playing through it, and it's just terrible and amazing at the same time.
Well, part of the cool things about video games is that you're in a sense like you're putting yourself in those situations, and so you're like you are that character, and so you're like your head is kind of in that space whenever you're playing through it. Or you could be like did you play Mass Effect?
I did. I played some of it. I think I played 1 and 2 or something.
Okay, so there was a big thing for Mass Effect 3, because Mass Effect is one of those games where like you make decisions, and then based on what your decisions were, they have different effects for the ending of the story. And so that was true for both games 1 and 2. But then Mass Effect 3 was like the conclusion of the Shepard saga. And so it was supposed to be like all of the decisions that you made throughout games 1, 2, and 3 were supposed to affect the ending of the story. And there was like a big thing at the end where it doesn't matter what any of the decisions that you made throughout any of the games, they all ended up basically the exact same. And so a lot of people were like super, super mad about it, because it was like, what was the whole point of all the decisions that we made previously if everything was just going to end up the exact same way? And so there was a bunch of outrage.
Calvinism.
From that. Calvinism. Oh, no. Calvinism.
Predestination. So if you don't know what we're talking about, just the idea that some people's names are written in the book of life, and there's no matter what you decide or what you do with your life, you are predetermined either to go to heaven or go to hell, which I fully do not agree with. I think that we have free will. Can I back it up biblically? No. But you know what? I'll get there. I'll eventually be able to explain it to you with scripture. But right now, I think that the decisions that we make every single day affect how our barometer with God, and we're always. I know Tyler and I, we're always trying to get better. We're always trying to get better in the eyes of God.
But you're not saying that what you do today affects your outcome in eternity, right? Like you don't work your way to heaven.
Oh no, that's done by
right.
the blood of Christ.
Right.
You know, we are not going to work our way into heaven.
Yes.
But like the decision can also be, well, it gets really sticky really fast.
Yeah.
that,
I would just describe it as the gift of, like, salvation is a gift from God, and the only thing you're doing is you are accepting the gift. That is your free will choice to do that. And so that's how I would describe it. And I've heard Gabe's favorite Bible theologian person, Mike Winger, he did a video about this. It's the basic question was, is faith a work? And so that's the crux of the issue, because if faith is not a work, then he says that Calvinism can't be true. So if I talking to editing Tyler, find that video from Mike Winger and put it into the description, or put it up in the card, whichever. Which direction is it? It would be this way. The cards go up on this side. So.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
I'm not posting on YouTube that much just yet, so I do not know.
All good. That was a long side quest. I'm not sure how we got on to all of that. Oh, we got onto it because everyone's plotting and scheming, and they're trying to...
And making their own decisions.
They are. They're all making their own decisions. But yeah, basically they're all scheming and conniving and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think the scene basically just ends with Thorfinn. He was watching Gunnar go back to the King Swen's what would you call that, palace? I don't think they called them palaces, but his big long house or whatever.
Yeah, it's like a long house, I would say.
Yeah, which is
very
actually
reminiscent of like Skyrim. Like I feel like it was straight out of Skyrim. Like the Jarl of whatever in Skyrim, you would go into this house.
There was this here. I'll put this up here. There was a cool thing in the back at the end of the chapter of King Swen's hall, so you can see the layout of the building there. But I liked his little thing there where he says they didn't really split their halls up into so many rooms, but whatever. So he was taking a bit of creative liberty, it seems like.
Yep.
But that's how he designed it. But yeah, that's the end of chapter 50. There was a lot of side questing, but there wasn't a ton happening. It was basically just them recapping, the status of what was happening, and because they were talking about the plot beforehand of how they tried to have Prince Canute killed, and so they were talking about trying to get the rumors just right so that there wasn't like an outward like an overt King Swen is after Prince Canute, but it's more of just like we want the rumor to kind of fester in the town so that all the local chieftains are having that in the back of their head.
Yep. And it's done by Askeladd. Yeah. Askeladd is masterminding everything. Yeah. He is masterminding. It turns out he set up the assassination attempt himself. So he knowingly put the female double in harm's way. He planned that, and then he started a rumor that King Swen might be the guy, and he knew that Gunnar is a spy, so he had Thorfinn go and prepare to follow him. He's like, he's gonna leave, and I want you to follow him and figure out where he goes. And like Askeladd, he's on top of it.
Yep. He's smart.
And I think that,
but King Swen is just as smart as him, it seems.
Yeah. Swen is not to be
Underestimated.
Yep, underestimated by Askeladd. So, our next chapter, we are going to go into the Longhouse, which is where Gunnar went with his information. And so we have the townsfolk kind of getting prepared for a big meal. There's lots of cooking pots and lots of food being exchanged, and all the chieftains are going to be inside the Longhouse talking, and then Sven is going to make his kind of grand entrance. Askeladd, Thorkel, and Canute are all in here. Gunnar's in here. And Sven is going to address all of the chieftains. And he is, there's all this rumor about him trying to kill his own son, but he kind of flies in the face of that by saying how happy he is that his son is still alive and hugging and embracing him. And then he tells Canute that he's going to give him the land of Mercia, which is actually a pretty generous gift. Yeah. And everyone's just like, Mercia, my word, mutter, mutter, murmur, murmur, as we, read those onomatopoeia. And Askeladd is very, very happy. He's like, yes, I've got him. And then Sven is going to throw a curveball. It's not the first curveball in the Vinland Saga series.
The first one?
No, it's not the first. I was just listening to our other podcast on Vinland Saga, and the first curveball was Prince Canute being so feminine and not a strong character at all. That was the first. That was the first.
Which was done intentionally by the author.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I will say, I think it would be highly unlikely that this character arc could take place in a real person, someone who runs high on the anxiety scale, to move to this kind of cold, calculated person. Like, I just don't.
Oh, you mean you're saying you find it not quite believable of his complete character shift, like 180 character shift?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I just think that, if this were to happen, it would not be the, overnight transformation of losing Ragnar and becoming, suddenly everything shifting into place. Like, I'm a stronger communicator. I see the room better. I have this cold, steely resolve, from this person who is just kind of jittery and not sure about themselves. Mm-hmm. I feel like that could happen over time, and being put in a lot of difficult situations where they'd have to step up. I think that the character arc is completely possible. It would be under a unique set of circumstances, but I doubt it could be the death of one person changes it. But who knows? Maybe there is a case of this actually happening.
I don't know. I feel like from a Christian perspective, you can have people who have dramatic conversion experiences.
Oh yeah.
Where they are living a certain way, and then they are imbued with the Holy Spirit, and their life goes a complete 180, overnight, it seems. So I do think that it's not that is the norm, and that wouldn't be how it would most likely happen. But I do think there is, I don't know if precedent is the right word, but I do think that it is possible for people to have dramatic shifts in their character and their worldview after a crisis event, or something that, Thorfinn essentially is having this same thing happen to him, where he is one character in one chapter, and then in the next chapter he is 180 degrees different from how he was. So it's interesting that both of those characters experienced 180 character shifts. And I would say they're both doing the opposite thing. So Prince Canute was going from the docile kind of not saying anything and being very slow to speak and that kind of mindset, to now someone who's very firm in his beliefs and has the resolved, and he's willing to kind of take risks now, and he's willing to say what he thinks, whereas Thorfinn is going from the hothead character to now he's going to the docile character who doesn't rock the boat, as it were. Like, he just does what he's told. And so it's interesting that whenever we first met Prince Canute, they were on opposite sides of the spectrum, and now, this isn't completely true because they're different characters, but they've kind of done a flip where, like, now they are each on the opposite side now, and Prince Canute is now the stronger character, and Thorfinn, it seems like he's the weaker character in a sense. So it's interesting how that played out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like... So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, that it is possible. But I do think that more often than not, it takes a lot of work, because people are who they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can flip a switch in them and get them to change. But most of the time, significant character change comes from, like, investing in yourself or being put in difficult situations that will eventually turn into this new version of yourself. And in Christian's cases, it's dying to yourself for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the storyline. We digress.
This is the episode for side quests.
Yep. We're going to be side questing it up. So Swen is going to make an announcement that's actually going to kind of, like, get through to Askeladd. Another chip in his armor. So I think this is the second time that Swen has said something that is kind of like made Askeladd feel uncomfortable. So this is, these are two tacticians. I think the first was maybe about his mother or something, or that he was a slave.
Well, that was the second one.
That was the second one?
This is the first one where he talks about whales, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because the slave comment is what sends him off over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you talking about in another part of the story earlier?
Yeah. I think the first time they're noticing him in Swen's presence, that they say something in Askeladd is like, there's a chip in his armor. He's done something. But so Swen says that they are going to invade Wales, and this is going to send Askeladd, like, and then that's where my quote comes in, where he's thinking about all the possibilities of, like, how do I solve this? How do I save, like, my countrymen? And he's putting himself through the paces of trying to figure out how to engage Swen so that he can have a better outcome for Wales.
Yep.
And so Askeladd boldly asked the king, is the conquest of Wales truly the wisest decision?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I like this kind of scene, this chapter, because we have we have both sides, like, on page 242, we have Askeladd going, I've got him. And so Askeladd thinks that he has King Swen where he wants him to be. And then later on we have what is that chapter where King Swen is talking to Floki, and he was like, did you see his face whenever you said Wales? And so it seems like they had an inkling about, like, where he was from and what his allegiances were, and they were planting these things, like they planned this speech out so as to reveal Askeladd's true motivations and true allegiances. So this is the King's Swen's mind versus Askeladd's mind. Who's the superior schemer?
Tactician, yeah, schemer.
Right. Yeah. So then we get to the next chapter here, and so Askeladd's basically going to make his pitch for why he shouldn't attack Wales. And Askeladd actually makes some, good kind of arguments for why they shouldn't do this. And his first argument is that, they've just been in war for years with the English, and they should, rest and recuperate and let the, get the troops back all rested and ready for another kind of another battle at another time, because it's costs a lot of money and a lot of manpower to wage war. And so he says that, we should wait a few years before we make any decisions like that. And then he also just says that, Wales doesn't have a lot of just monetary value. Like, there's not a lot of great lands for farming, and, there's not, like, if you attack Wales, like, you're not going to get anything out of it, and you probably would lose a lot of men in the process. And so you would have a heavy amount of losses on your end for not that much perceived value. And so Askeladd's kind of goal with this is to get all of the local chieftains like on his side, saying like, oh yeah, I mean, that's very, it seems very reasonable. Like, we think that would be a very good plan. And so King Swen, he's like, tries to be like magnanimous and be like, that is, it's good to have counselors that speak up and give their mind and all this kind of stuff. And then he does like this. So he has like the public response, and then he walks down to him and he like whispers in his ear. So this is kind of we're getting to the very climax of the story here. And so he says, Wales or Canute, choose. I'll just read this. He says, in truth, I do not care about the subjugation of Wales. It is merely a stopgap to keep the troops occupied while we prepare for Ireland. Bring me Canute's head, and I will see that Wales is spared. I've looked into you. I hear your mother was a slave. It would explain why you have such a fixation on Wales. After all, its only export of any value is slaves, it seems. And so that's the little conversation that King Swen has with Floki. And then I just love his facial expression after this thing happens. Like, look at that face, man. He is like, what the heck is happening? And so this is where we see that King Swen has, I think he's outmaneuvered Askeladd, because he knows his allegiance, he knows what he's trying to do, and he's been caught. And so now Askeladd has to make the choice. He has to choose Prince Canute or Wales. And this is where he makes his final play. Are you going to say something there?
Yeah,
he can jump in.
He chose the unoffered path.
He did. He chose the path less traveled, or whatever that phrase is.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and it's made all the difference. I think that's Robert Frost.
Robert Frost. He was a poet, right? Or did he write short stories?
I don't know. I just had that little piece memorized. That's all. Don't really know.
We need to up our reading game here. All we read is fantasy. We don't read. We need to be more cultured here. Okay, so he makes this decision here, and he's going to insult the king to his face. And so he's now saying, okay, I can't win by taking the diplomatic approach. Now he just has to face him head on, and he has to reveal his plans. And so he says, he insults him, and then all the guards start to get close and be like, okay, you're not gonna be insulting our king here. And then, but he's like, wait, the king is within my reach, and he pulls out his sword. And I like this scene with Thorkel. He says, son of a bee, stop stealing all the best parts, as if this was like a play and he like didn't get cast in the right part of the story or something. It's like he's like Thorkel was almost kind of breaking the fourth wall of the story in a sense, which is kind of funny. And so he basically just challenges King Swen here, and then he has the reveal that what his real name is, because Askeladd is just a nickname, but his real name is Lucius Artorius Castus, and he says, I am the rightful king of Britannia. And at this point, everyone says, go attack him. But because he's so close to King Swen, all he has to do is flick his sword, and King Swen's head comes right off. And just like that, he has assassinated the king of the Danes. Askeladd's last big act.
I was surprised that this happened.
I know, me too.
The way that the dialogue is built, like it sounds like Canute is going to be plotting for months, like how to overcome his father and figure out a way to take him out, and then just to have Askeladd just do it right here in front of everybody. It was just, I was blown away. I was like, what? And then I really enjoy the next frame where Canute is like, his eyes are really big, and he's encircled by the crown that is falling off the severed head. I just thought that was like, mwah. It was like a good piece of director's cut right there. Like, the falling crown like capture Canute's face in that like perfect little circle. If you were filming it, I was like, good job, nice touch.
It's almost like he was, planning for a potential anime TV show to be made about it.
Yep.
He probably wasn't at this point, but yeah, I mean, that's where we end the chapter. And at the very end, we just have to say, it's interesting because he says, you were talking about Prince Canute there with the crown, and he says, this is Prince Canute, like thinking, he says, you have my gratitude, Askeladd. But then he says, attack him. He has committed, how do you pronounce this word? Is it regicide? Regicide?
Yep, regicide, I believe.
Yeah.
Murdering of the king.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because Prince Canute...
Or royal.
Yeah, so this is basically the only choice that Prince Canute has. He has to say that Askeladd has to die because... if you assassinate a king, then the only punishment for that crime is death. So, yeah, that's where we end the chapter. And this is where the beginning of the end starts.
Yes. All right. And I'm excited to get into this. So I'm gonna kind of like
it goes fast.
Do a quick recap of the fury of the Britannia's king. Sorry. About mispronouncing that. So Askeladd has started a battle royale where it's one versus many. He is the one, and Canute's seizing power and saying for the guards to attack him for killing the king, and Thorfinn is outside and he doesn't know what's going on, so he's using his hyper agility to like get into a vantage point and see down, and he's like, oh no, Askeladd, what are you doing? And he sees Askeladd fighting, and Askeladd is no holds barred, taking no prisoners. You can see his warrior heritage coming through. He's like
his kingly heritage.
Yeah, his kingly. Well, and also the guy that he's descended from, wasn't he like some sort of hero?
Yeah, like
of the ages. And so Askeladd has his blood running through his vein. And he said, what's wrong? Step forward if you wish to die. I, the king of Britannia himself, will oblige you. And like just before that, you see like probably about a dozen guards that he has taken out single-handedly. And Canute's yelling at everyone to, take him out. And Askeladd is cutting everyone down who's challenging him, and he's like,
maniacal laughter.
Yeah, just an insane amount of ha 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 ha. And then Thorfinn is freaking out when the door opens. He's like, Askeladd! He's like desperately trying to get to Askeladd because he wants to help Askeladd to get out of the situation so that he can murder him later. That's Thorfinn's motivation at this point.
Which he's done a few times already throughout the story.
Yep. Um, and Thorkel's all huffy. He's like, "Oh, don't mind me. I'm just standing here." So, and
he's pirate Thorkel.
Yeah, with his thing,
his eye patch. I hope in the next part of the story he gets one of his legs cut off, so he's gotta have peg leg, and an eye patch. Then he'll complete it.
Yeah. So Askeladd is still fighting off all these people, and Floki is going to come in. What did you say about this earlier before the podcast?
Floki?
You're like, yeah, hit the Askeladd Floki encounter.
Oh, he just makes him look like a fool. Floki is built up to be this big warrior person, but seems like Askeladd just takes care of him pretty quickly. He's like, on your knees. He's like got this like kingly like power like coursing through him. It's almost like he has this like supernatural strength at this point where he's like anybody who gets in his way is just gonna get cut down immediately.
I'm giving you the honor of kissing my boots, and then you'll die. Ha 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 ha. All this laughing.
I know, there's so much laughter.
Okay. And then while he's with Floki, he catches sight of Thorfinn, and he yells this directive. He says, "Stay away, Thorfinn." Like, very loud and aggressively, he's telling him. And then, in the moment of distraction, little old Canute sneaks in and delivers a thrust.
He has a very high dexterity. He snuck right in there.
He did.
He rolled a nat 20.
Yeah. And this brings us to the end of the prologue, which begins with Canute stabbing Askeladd, who is looking at him. All right. So, I'm going to walk us through this, but before I do it, I'm going to give you a theory. All right, so this is the part I told Tyler you have to wait till the podcast was going before I would tell him my thoughts.
He wouldn't let me. Okay. He wouldn't spoil his own theory.
Yeah, I was like, "Do you want?" He's like, "No, save it." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. This will be better." Okay, so, all right, you want a theory? Here's a theory.
Okay.
This is a charade. Right here. We're about to see a big charade. And I'm going to point out my details why I think this. Okay?
A charade as in he's not actually dead?
Askeladd, I think, is alive.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to ask you what you think. All right.
I'm already thinking of the details that you might bring up. Yes.
Okay. So on 3:17.
Yes.
Okay. Askeladd is like holding Canute's sword in his hand, and he says, "Is this the first time you've run a man through, Prince?" And he just like tugs out the sword. It just feels like it's not,
it's not that far in,
right?
Although you can see that it is bloody.
But could that be from his hand?
Could be
cutting it on the sword. Could it be? Okay. And he gives in. Look at the look at 3:17.
Yeah.
Very very focused, very calculated. Well done. So he's like he's giving him a thing. Okay, so let's go to the next page. All right. Look at the sword when Canute delivers the final blow. It's like he's knighting him. It's like he's tapping the sword on his shoulder. And Askeladd is like dripping blood. And when I first read this, I thought he slit his throat. And I thought that's kind of where his blood was coming from. But if you see in the frame up above, it looks like he's kind of like gathering blood in his mouth, and he spits it out at the same time that Canute lands this blow. But if you look over on the next page, there's not like a big cut to like his neck or anything.
Yeah, it's all covered up from that big toga thing that he's wearing.
Yeah, this thing that he never wears ever. He's suddenly in it.
Well, I think it's a callback to his kind of the Britannia, the Roman heritage, where the Roman people would wear the togas, as like a sign of privilege and power.
And Thorfinn swoops in and catches him. Okay, so we flip another page, and the prince is kind of like swooning. And everyone's cheering. He's like, His Highness slew the brute himself. Prince Canute has avenged his royal father. And Canute is like swooning, and Thorkel steadies him and says, stand tall and proud. This is the important part, Prince. So he's cute. He's like cute. This is the part that you need to be on the ball for.
Yep.
This stage was made for your sake. So again, we have this reference to a stage. Like this is an act. Like you've been put on stage. Don't waste it. Okay. And then we have so I'm just gonna that those pages were the main part of my theory there. All right.
Hold on. So, there's one more scene that I would add into your theory camp.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
There's the scene later on afterwards where Prince Canute says something about Askeladd's body. He says, where is it? Something about like we have to take it away. Man, no, I'm not going to be able to find it.
Yeah, I didn't catch that part. So if we find it, you can share it. But yeah. All right, what do you think of this theory?
It's an interesting theory. I don't know if it's true, just because I feel like Prince Canute was genuinely shocked at himself for doing it. So I think he thought that he killed him. Because I don't take Prince Canute as like the good actor type. It seems like he sometimes lets his emotions like almost be too visible, and he's not very good at like hiding how he feels, I think. So I don't know because why would he be, if he knew that Askeladd wasn't actually dying, like why would he be like swooning and like fainting and all of this kind of stuff? Because if this is the first time that he's killed a man, I mean that seems like a justifiable reaction from him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do think it's an interesting theory. But I don't know.
I like the points. I like the points that you brought up. So I wonder if it could be like, Thorkel, because Thorkel and Askeladd planning this. Does that even make sense? Thorkel and Askeladd being on the same side. I don't know.
No, I think
because the idea comes from Thorkel, because Thorkel says, you, Canute, should be the one who cuts him down, because Thorkel refuses to go in and fight Askeladd. So, all right. There's my harebrained theory.
Yep.
I guess only time will tell if we figure out what happens to Askeladd if he returns. If he doesn't return in like 10 books, then I got it wrong.
In 10 books.
I'm giving myself a 10-book horizon.
A 10-book horizon. Okay.
Right.
Well, there was a scene also with Thorkel. Man, I feel like I can't. Was there another scene after the end? I don't think so. Was there? They never went back to to those characters after this chapter. There was some quote where they were like, he had to choose. He was trying to choose between Wales and Canute, and he took the only choice where he could save both.
Yeah, I do remember reading that, and I don't remember where. I think it's it might be in the Britannia chapter.
Oh yeah, here it is. It's on page 3 or 5. Yeah, this is where he says, "Oh, don't mind." This is Thorkel talking. He says, "Oh, don't mind me. I'll just stand here." And then Prince Canute says, "It's not your turn yet. Hold it in, Thorkel." And then he says, "He has not gone mad. It is an act." He says, "Me or Wales, he took the option that delivered the greatest chance of saving both. By acting like a madman, he assumes all the guilt for the murder of the king. Let him have his rampage. I'll allow you to finish it."
Oh.
And this is where Thorkel says, "I'm not going to do that. Like, if he needs to die, then you have to be the one to put him down." So I think this was just like a genuine decision by him, where in that moment where King Swen is making him choose, he is making a decision. It's interesting that he wouldn't just give up Prince Canute. Do you have an idea of why he wouldn't just say, "Okay, have Prince Canute then"? Like, I didn't feel like his allegiance to Prince Canute was like actually that.
Yeah, and there was a point where Askeladd is thinking to himself, and he's like, "Forgive me, Canute." It's like when he first goes down on his knee to approach Swen about not attacking. He's like, you ask someone to forgive you because you want to be one with them, right? Because sin separates you, and when you forgive the sin, that brings you closer together. So there is a degree of loyalty there that I also was a little surprised by.
Yeah. Well, I guess he did save him from getting killed by Thorkel in the last part of the book. So maybe that is just kind of the turn where he decides he's going to serve Prince Canute. But I don't know. I just don't feel like I really buy that. I feel like he would just... I don't know. Maybe I just missed something about how strong that allegiance to Prince Canute was. And I don't know. But I feel like I was asking myself, why wouldn't he just give up Prince Canute and then take the spoils and just go on his way? Because his true allegiance and his true, calling as a character, I feel like was, to save Wales, because he was always about, trying to defeat the Danes and get Wales, back to its rightful place as leader of England, because he's calling it Britannia, which is all of England. It's not just Wales. Britannia is just Britain, the whole island. So he's seeing himself as the leader of of everything. At least that's his rightful place is the leader. And I don't know, maybe he just felt like the only way that he could achieve that goal was with Prince Canute, and so that he felt that he had to try to save both in that moment. So maybe that was just kind of what it came down to, is he felt like his best chance to achieve his end goal of bringing Wales back into its former glory is through Canute.
Yeah, I think he thinks his best chance at the throne is to go through Canute, because Swen is not going to trust Askeladd in any capacity, and Swen is old and he's going to die. So I think Askeladd wants to throw his
right. He wants to be over in somebody's camp who he can control. And King Swen is, as we've seen, King Swen is just as smart and scheming as Askeladd is, so he obviously can't outsmart King Swen, and so maybe he just felt like he could control Prince Canute and then You know, if he couldn't stay in Prince Canute's circle, then he couldn't achieve his final goal. So, yeah. I don't know. Plans within plans here.
But we digress. So in this end of the prologue chapter,
Yes, at the very end,
Thorfinn is yelling into Askeladd's face. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Our fight wasn't supposed to end this way. You can't do this to me. You can't die. Get up and fight me. I'm supposed to be the one who kills you, you son of a bee. And Askeladd's there. Honestly, this is what I hate about kids. And he kind of, and then he just kind of like passes. Well, he either dies or passes out. Swoon theory for me. I'm saying swoon theory.
Well, no, I think his vision is just getting fuzzy because he's looking at Thorfinn and he can't see his eyes, and it gets all kind of blurry. Seems like he's just starting to go.
Yep. Yeah. You're right, because he keeps talking a little bit.
Yeah.
Be a true warrior, son of Thor's.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
And then he kind of collapses. And then there's kind of like this, time where, Canute says, I will not ask for your forgiveness, Thorfinn. He was struck by a sudden madness and killed the king. He had to pay with his life. And then on page 335, you just get this look at Thorfinn.
I love this.
Where he's just lost. This is the beginning of his whole like world deconstructing and like he's like he realizes he's put so much time and effort into
look at the
pursuing.
Whoops. Look at page 325 and then look at page 335. Just like he's like the difference in his like his complete demeanor is like complete rage, and then it just seems like he's went back to this like just childish little kid again, where he has nothing to live for.
He's the empty vessel.
Yeah.
It got all the hate and anger just came out of him. And then he takes a swing at Canute. And this is so now Canute is forever going to have a scar on his face, which he needed something to make him look more manly.
He did.
So
I love his reaction though. 338. Look at that face. Cease.
Yeah, the cease. Yep. It's good. And so he has his power struggle with Floki, and he basically gets Floki's like, I need to be in charge of the king's armies, and now Canute makes him say like, no, it should be you, Canute. So that was very. He goes, who is in control? And then he picks up the crown, and then he claims all authority over the people here, and he becomes the king. So here we go.
I wonder what's going to happen with his brother, Harold. I wonder if he'll try to make a claim for the throne, or if he'll have to deal with him in some way.
Yeah, it said, Swen said earlier that Harold was not doing so well in a kind of like a drawn out battle in a different land.
Okay.
So he might be occupied for the moment, but this might bring him back. And and then again we have a little bit more of Thorfinn being hauled off by two people, which is very much not like Thorfinn. And then we have the 2 pages of all of the Thorfinn memories kind of bundled together, and the letter A is kind of spread out through this page, so it's kind of like
I wonder what does the A mean?
I kind of, if you see a lot, it's kind of like, like someone screaming or something. So I'm wondering if it's like that. It's like,
Interesting.
Just throughout all these.
And then we see his knife, his little short sword on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be recovered.
That's right.
There you go. It's the end of the prologue.
We made it.
What a prologue it was.
Yep. Book 4, Volume 8. Into the prologue.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
a solid 50-something chapters.
54 chapters.
Just a solid 54 chapters of the prologue.
Yeah.
So if the prologue is like 5% of the book, does that mean we got like 2,500 chapters coming our way?
Well, hold on. Sorry for the recording, everybody. I was bringing up a window here. I just ruined the video recording. That's okay. I had the wiki open, actually. I was looking at the chapters. So right now we are, as of right now, the latest chapter that has been released is chapter 200, which was released on March 28th of this year. So that's
Okay,
that's the Japanese version that hasn't been translated into English yet, but so that's how far they are in the story. So that's about a quarter, or a quarter.
Yeah,
of the
we're about a quarter through all the Vinland Saga that is currently released.
Yeah,
and we've really enjoyed this. This has been a fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun to get into. It's been good.
It has been pretty great. I don't think we'll spend a ton of time on these last two chapters. Basically this is like, so we have the end of the prologue and we have kind of the end of this chapter of Thorfinn's story where he goes from just a boy living in Iceland with his father and family, and he goes through all of these different things. His father dies. He experiences, all of these different battles and this kind of revenge saga against Askeladd, and he's tried all of these different times to take that revenge, and he's failed at every single turn. And then at the very end, his revenge opportunity is just taken away from him, and so he was not the one to. He doesn't get to taste the, I don't know.
He doesn't get the satisfaction.
Yeah, the satisfaction. He doesn't get the satisfaction of knowing that he was the one to avenge his father's death. But if it was really, it was. I guess it was just something about like he himself wanted to be the one to do it, and just because somebody else did it instead of him, I guess that's something that he. Because I mean, the revenge was given. Askeladd is no longer with us. Or unless you're a conspiracy theorist like Gabe, you think he's still alive.
I got my conspiracy. This is the first conspiracy I've ever thought of.
That's right. But so Askeladd is no longer with us. And now so he has nothing to really to live for. And because he took a swipe at Prince Canute, because Prince Canute took that opportunity away from him to be the one to take the revenge. Now he has been sent into slavery. But we have a chapter before that, before we get the Thorfinn reveal, where we follow this.
I'm just going to make
go ahead.
Quick note. I think that Thorfinn would have been this lost even if he had killed Askeladd.
Oh yeah.
I think he would have had like some satisfaction. But like a week or like 2 weeks after he had killed Askeladd, he would just be like looking for food, like not sure what to do with himself. And
but he wouldn't have gotten sent into slavery, so because he probably wouldn't have taken a swipe at Prince Canute. So
yeah,
he may have been a little bit better off than he currently is. But
yeah, I think.
But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, cool. All right, sorry.
No,
Continue.
that's all good. It's like in Powder Mage, where we have Tamis wanted to get revenge on Nixlaus, right? Is that his name, right?
Yep.
Because Nixlaus killed his wife. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Erica. Yep.
Yep. It's all still in there. It's all still in the noggin. I just need It's been a minute since I talked about Powder Mage, so.
Yep.
Yeah, but there was that scene where he doesn't get the revenge that he wanted either. But
he dies in like a Nixlaus dies in like a carriage accident, and Tamis finds him like just minutes after it happened.
Yeah. So a similar kind of motif where a character seeking revenge does not get to have the satisfaction of enacting that revenge, and then you have the fallout of what that does to that character. I feel like Tamis, maybe because he was a little bit older and more mature, like he's able to handle it better than Thorfinn is, because Thorfinn, I still think at this point he's only like 15 or 16 years old or something. So he's not that old. So he doesn't have like years of life experience to draw upon, and the wisdom of that. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with him in the next arc. Let's just talk about this real quickly. So we have this new character. His name's Einar. I think that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Is that how you were pronouncing it? Einar?
Oh, yeah. Let me look at it one more time while you...
Yeah, but basically we have this character who's been sold into slavery, and he gets sent... They're in this ship, and I guess it's like a slaver ship, and one of these women gets sick, and so instead of, taking care of her, they just take her and they toss her off the ship, which kind of shows you the situation that he finds himself in, where if he isn't up to snuff in any way, they'll just cast him aside as if he's nothing, as if he's just an animal that they can get rid of. And we get some scenes of all the slaves coming into this little town, and they're like cleaning them all up, and they're like, wash yourselves, make sure you pick out the lice from your hair and all this kind of stuff. And then they're going through, like, they line them all up, and all these people are like kind of like walking by, and they're inspecting all of the different slaves, and they pull up their shirts and like look at their abs and like their chests and like see how strong they are, so if they can do like manual labor and all this kind of stuff. And one of the characters like opens this guy's pants, and like it seems like he just grabs his
fondles him.
Yeah, he fondles him. He just like feels him up.
Yeah.
He just has this really weird expression on his face, which I mean, I would probably have a similar expression on my face if someone just
it's a
started
violation.
doing that to me. Yeah, complete violation. And I mean, one of the characters is like, "We have some special offerings just for a man of your tastes." So it seems like he is probably homosexual.
Yeah, he's got same-sex attraction.
Yeah.
Is definitely the vibe going on.
Yeah. And so we see some scenes here with Einar trying to escape, and then him getting caught again, and then he's like, "You still don't get it, do you?" One of the slave people says this, and he says, "Listen closely, slaves. Don't get any funny ideas in your heads. You might escape from this camp, but you have nowhere to go." And he's basically just saying, like, we've taken you to a new land, like, nobody speaks your language, like, you're not going to be able to, find somebody to help you, so you're basically stuck here. And they're basically trying to just tell them, like, you're better off if you don't fight for your freedom and just give in and just, try to enjoy your being a slave as much as possible, so that your life is as good as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
As good as it can be for a slave, I guess. I could say that. And then we get a scene here as well with Leif Erikson. He is still searching for Thorfinn. Man, the dedication on this guy. You just have to admire it. Like, he's
a Christian, so
he is. He's just like, Thorfinn was taken, and I have to get him back. He has to get him. His like mission in life is to get him back to his family, it seems like.
And I just feel like we don't, as a society, we don't have as many people who like fight this fiercely. I mean,
yeah,
it's like years and years and years of dedication.
Yeah.
And money. Like,
yeah.
Not just like, hey, have you seen, like, No, I'm actively buying slaves to see if I can like get him back.
Yep.
Like all the time. Yep.
Yeah. So it was just good to see Leaf and just to see that he's still out here searching for Thorfinn. I mean, I hope we get a scene where he finally does get to find him, and I hope Leaf is the one to be able to get him out and to get him back to his family. I think that would be a cool kind of resolution, at least, where he could have some kind of reunion and Leaf can feel like he was able to.
And he can go home and battle Halfdan.
Right. Yeah. Go home and battle Halfdan. That's his real enemy, Halfdan. Yeah. Although I think at this point in the story, he'll be full Dan.
Oh, yeah. He's matured into full Dan.
Right, yeah.
While Thorfinn's been away.
Thorfinn's probably diminishing to half Finn.
Excuse our lame dad jokes. We're both dads. Forgive us.
It's going to be half Finn versus full Dan.
Oh, gosh.
That's chapter 200.
Yep.
You heard it here first.
25% success rate.
Yeah, okay. So eventually we get Einar gets bought by this character whose name is Keitel? Kettle? How did you pronounce his name?
Kettle.
Well, anyways, he's bought by this guy, and he seems like a pretty nice slave owner. And he has this. He gives them this kind of. He gives them this option, and he says that they're going to take care of this land, they're going to deforest it, and that he says he's going to give them this land, and they can put crops on it, and the crops that they grow, he will buy from them, and then at some point, whenever they get to a point where the crops that they're harvesting, if the crops that he gets from them earn more than the amount that they were paid for, he will let them buy their freedom back. Mm-hmm. And he says this could probably happen within 3 years, and so it seems like a pretty generous offer. And we also meet a character who happened to. This guy named Potter. And so Potter said that he earned his freedom through this exact same way, which kind of gives Einar some hope here of that, this guy did it, so I can do it too. And he's super happy, and he goes and he meets Thorfinn, and Thorfinn's over here chopping this wood down, and you kind of have the bright-eyed, hopeful Einar versus the, downcast, I don't know what the like defeated kind of Thorfinn vibe, where he's just kind of going through the motions. He's just doing his work, and he doesn't necessarily have hope that he'll ever get free. At least that's the vibe that I get from him. Mm-hmm. And we kind of get a scene here where some of Kettle's workers here are basically abusing them, and they only bring them like these little morsels of food. And Einar's like, "What? You're only giving us this much food? This is insulting." And so he's like, "I'm gonna tell Kettle about your wrongdoing." And Thorfinn's like, "You probably don't want to do that. It's just gonna make them treat us more harshly and all this kind of stuff." Because it seems like Thorfinn had a similar experience where he thought he thought things were going to be different whenever he got to Kettle's farm, and he spoke up at some point, and so now the people have treated him more harshly, and so maybe that's kind of a resulting of the demeanor that we find him in at this point in the story. And then at the end,
what's interesting is Thorfinn could have, like, if he really wanted to, he could kill all of these guys.
Yeah,
even with his like little axe for chopping down.
Oh yeah, he definitely could.
He could kill all these guys in one go.
Well, yeah, actually, there was a scene here where they were talking to Einar, and Einar was like complaining, and then Thorfinn steps up to him, and I was like, "Ooh, Thorfinn's gonna like wreck these guys. He's gonna destroy them." But then he just says, "Thank you for your consideration each and every day. It is greatly appreciated." It just is like,
which is not Thorfinn.
I know. I was like, what did that just come out of Thorfinn's mouth? I was like, that is not something that Thorfinn would ever say. So it just shows you the complete difference. Yeah, it just shows you the complete change in character for him, and just how much he's changed. And so at the end of this day, we have Einar, who was going to say something to Kettle about his farm hands and his workers here, how they were mistreating them. And he's about to say something, but then he sees this woman, who I'm going to assume is Kettle's daughter. That's going to be my assumption.
That was my guess, too, because he's like, she's in the cart with him. She's, looks like a teenager. Or like, early 20s or something. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah. And so he sees her, and he just like stops talking, and so the Kettle's like, okay, whatever, see you guys tomorrow. And then he's like, Thorfinn, I think I like this place.
Yeah. So
there you go. That's the end.
He's got an infatuation.
He does.
So I just want to read this description, see if it's accurate for what's going on with Enos and Thorfinn. Sharecropping is an agricultural system in which the landowner allows a tenant farmer to use a piece of land in exchange for a share of the crops grown on that land. Under this system, the landowner provides the land, seed, and other necessary inputs, while the tenant farmer provides the labor. At harvest time, the crops are divided between the landowner and tenant farmer, usually with the landowner taking the lion's share. This was used during the United States Civil War. It creates cycles of debt, who were often forced to borrow from the landowner in order to buy necessary supplies. And so basically it was a way to, it was used here in the United States to kind of oppress African American workers. Like, oh, you will own this land, but really you're still just a slave. So it's kind of like a workaround for slavery after it became illegal. I think that was the timing of it. But Isn't that what's going on here with our two slaves?
Seems like it, though. Yeah, I think it'll just depend on the how trustworthy,
how honest the master is.
Yeah, how honest Kettle is, and if it's true that Potter earned his freedom through the same way. I mean, maybe he is. Maybe the offer is genuine, and but it's just his farm hands and his people that work for him that are the people who mistreat Thorfinn and Einar, and the other, maybe, I don't know if there's other slaves, but and maybe he's not totally aware of how they treat him, or maybe he is, but he just doesn't care. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see, and maybe I'm sure we'll get more context as the story goes on. In book 5,
the history teacher in me came out for him.
No, yeah, that's good. That's cool. That's good context. Kind of getting the idea of what the system could have maybe looks like. Yeah, that's cool. I was just on the wiki here on the chapters page where I was looking up what the last chapter was, and they have a section here that says trending pages. And chapter 54 is one of the trending pages, which is the chapter we just went through. And another chapter that's trending is 59, which is in the next section of the book.
Which I currently do not own.
I do not own it either. Yeah, okay, so do we have any, before we outro, do you have any thoughts on like the next section of the book, the next arc? So I know in Vinland Saga, so like this whole first section that we read, chapters 1 through 54, is called the war arc, and then this next arc is called the slave arc. And so this is going to be Thorfinn and slavery, and I don't remember how long this arc is. I just know that that's what it's called. So do you have any ideas for the slave arc of Vinland Saga?
Yeah, so let's think through this a little logically. So if Thorfinn is a slave, um, something is going to have to kindle in him a desire to change from
Right.
his ways. So we might get a little bit of unpacking of how he got from Canute to this particular slave owner.
Sure. Yeah.
We might see what that looks like. And I'm trying to think of an event that would make Thorfinn feel like he might have to come to the aid of maybe like this girl, like if her father gets killed, and that might spur him to like take up his old ways and defend somebody, or maybe he has a encounter with Leaf, and Leaf has to like go and get funds or something and come back for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my thoughts off the top of my head.
Yeah, I agree. I think I hope we do get some kind of flashbacks to kind of see the progression from at the end of 54 to where we are now. So yeah, I would love to just kind of see that slow progression down to where we see him as a character in these last two chapters. I hope we get to go see some more scenes with Prince Canute, just seeing like what he's doing. I hope it's not just only what's happening with Thorfinn, because I do enjoy like the other characters in the story and just seeing what their motivations are and how they play into different parts of the world. I think we'll also see some like Thorfinn wrestling with just the concept of his father's idea of a true warrior needs no sword. And so I just wonder like how he's gonna how he's gonna mature kind of into that idea, and if he's going to like embrace that fully, or if he's still gonna if it's still gonna take some time for him to kind of really come to terms with what that means in his own life, and if that's like a worldview that he wants to live by. Like with Thor's, it took him getting a wife and having a baby to kind of really make that click in his head. So maybe there'll be some point in this arc where he's going to meet a girl. Maybe it's Ketil's daughter, or maybe it's another girl. Maybe he's going to have some kind of love interest, which will maybe spur some of that maturity, that growth to maturity in him. Because I do think like whenever you get into a relationship, you get married, you have become a father, like all of those things in your life are things that mature you and things that make you become less selfish and less just so self-absorbed about like what you can do.
They humble you.
Yeah, they humble you. And I mean, I think being a slave is a humbling experience for sure. So I think he's already experienced kind of a lot of humbling. But yeah, so maybe just seeing like that progression of him going from this revenge bent character who's not humble and not and who is very selfish, and just a character who is more outward focused and much more humble, and maybe embodies more some of the wisdom that the people in his life have spoken to him, like from his father, from Leif Erikson, and even from Askeladd, counseling him to have patience and to wait for your time to strike, and to just think about your actions before you make a quick decision. And so, yeah, I think just seeing kind of him grow and mature will be probably a lot of what is in this section of the book. Because I think he's still just a very childish character in this whole prologue section of the book and the war arc. And so I think just seeing him mature into an adult will be something I look forward to for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I think that's it. Next.
I think so too.
Yeah. The next episode is, let me bring up my schedule so I don't say this wrong. Because I think this is volume 8. Okay. Yeah. So this, because Gabe's having his child.
Yay!
He this is good. This will be the last episode that we record. Well, it's not the last one we record. We're gonna do another book, but in terms of release order, this will be the last one released before Gabe goes to have his child. So Gabe's gonna take a break so we're not going to be recording any episodes for a little bit, and we have recordings up through about, looks like, July on the schedule, and so we'll have to see what happens whenever he comes back, and so we're not sure how all that's going to play out, because we want to give Gabe time to spend with his new boy, and
but we learned from Tyler's hiatus that we won't just go dark for 7 months.
That was my fault. That was my fault.
No, that's all right. We're learning. So we learned this time that we wanted to prepare like a good amount of material so that when the time came that we would have a bunch of stuff available for our listeners. So thanks for sticking with us, guys.
For sure. But I can reveal some of the things that we have in the schedule that are planned for the rest of the year. So we're going to be doing, for whenever you're hearing this episode, this episodes will already be out, but we're doing Speaker for the Dead. And then so I'd like to finish the Ender Saga by the end of the year. So there's 2 more books, which is Xenocide and Children of the Mind, which completes the Ender quartet. Although I think he did release a 5th book a few years ago, but that's not part of the original, the original 4. So those 2 books I would like to do if possible. We do have some plans for October to potentially do some horror type things. We have like maybe some Frankenstein, we'll maybe do some H.P. Lovecraft and some Stephen King. So we have some of those on the docket as well. And I think we might go back to some Wheel of Time, book 5, which is called The Fires of Heaven. So those are some of the things that are loosely on the schedule for the rest of the year, but don't hold us to any of that. We'll have to see what happens with Gabe's new child in the world, and we want to
and new life cycles starting up.
Yeah, for sure. It'll definitely be a transition to a new way of living, a new schedule. So cool. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any last thoughts before we wrap up on Vinland Saga? Because I think that might be the last Vinland Saga we do for the year, as these are coming out in July. I am currently watching the anime, though, of Vinland Saga, so it might be fun to do an episode on the first season of that TV show. And I also have some friends that are into Vinland Saga as well in the show, so I might see if we can get some guests on the show and have like a kind of a big episode. Yeah, maybe episode 50. That might be kind of the fun thing.
What is the service that streams the Vinland Saga?
That would be Netflix.
Netflix, okay.
Yep. So if you have Netflix and you've been reading along with us on Vinland Saga, because the anime season 1 ends at the end of the prologue. So chapter 54, 55, 56 is where season 1 ends. So
it's the end of the prologue.
You won't have any spoilers in the show if you're the kind of person who likes to read the books before they watch the shows, which I am that person. So I will not let myself watch the show until I've read the appropriate amount of book that corresponds.
No spoilers. And I must be the book person first, right, yes. Tyler? That's what goes through your brain.
I was the person who refused to watch Harry Potter in college with my friends until I read the books. So, yeah.
You stand up for your right to read, Tyler.
I'm that person, for good or ill. All right, that's enough rambling. Do you have any last thoughts before we head out?
No, I think we did it.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us on this Vinland Saga adventure. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, you can check out pagesoflight.com if you want to check out more about what's going on over there and with this brand. And you can also go over to our different social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads if you want to see what I'm reading. And you can also go over to the YouTube channel and hit subscribe over there. And you can also check out some of the other videos I've done on the channel there. And yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for watching or listening. And we will see you in the next... No, I didn't do the outro. You have to remember to keep reading and to share the gospel with somebody this week. And we'll see you in the next episode. See ya.
See you next time.